Warning: Jason's talking time contains some content that may be unsuitable for people under the age of 18 or people who are easily offended by the slightest innuendo. Listener discretion is advised. However, if you tune in anyway and get offended, please do not send any letters. If you do, I will just crumble them up and throw them in the trash. This is Jason's Talking Time with Jason Kidd. Alrighty, how's everybody doing today? This is Jason Kidd, and you are tuning into another edition of Jason's Talking Time, brought to you by our generous donations on our GoFundMe page. And a quick update about the GoFundMe page: it is actually going to be deactivated within the next 2 weeks. And then we will be transitioning over to our Patreon account, which is already up and running. If you want to take a look at the Patreon account, and we will be doing all of our donations on the Patreon account. It's a system. It's kind of like GoFundMe, Kickstarter, and all that, except the donations you give on Patreon will be monthly donations that all of our diehard fans, supporters can enlist in, and in return there will be so many great prizes and bonus material, outtakes from the show, and just me just being silly stuff that you'll have access to as a reward for your donation. But in the meantime, we will have the GoFundMe page up on the Twitter and the Instagram page, so if you want to check that out, leave a little something, we'd appreciate that too. Alrighty, so President Trump has finally made good on his promise to repeal and replace the Affordable Health Care Act. Yep. And I'm getting this source from Trumpcare.com, which is an unofficial, bipartisan, so to speak, website about the American Health Care Act, as they are calling it, or Trumpcare, as I like to call it, as to many other people. And there's a huge difference between what they're trying to push with Trumpcare versus Obamacare. See, Trumpcare, the buzzword that they're using for Trumpcare is access. They want all of Americans to have access to health care, which really sounds good. I mean, I would love to have access to health care. I would love to be able to just go anywhere and say, hey, I see some health care. I have access to the health care. Let me have the health care. Let me take it home with me. But the thing where people get mixed up is the fact that just because you have access to something doesn't mean that they're going to let you have it, or they're just going to give it to you at a reasonable or fair price. Because I'm going to tell you something. I have always wanted a Rolex watch. I see all the rappers wearing Rolexes in the videos, and they big pimping and all that good shit. And I'm like, man, I want to get a Rolex watch just like Tupac and Biggie and that guy from Silk. But the thing is, I can't afford a Rolex watch. It's like a Rolex watch costs more than my car. So I could go into a store with a guy standing in front of a whole case full of Rolex watches, and I could say, hey, that's a really nice Rolex watch. Can I try it on? You will say, yeah, you can try it on. I could try it on. I could say, man, this is a badass watch. I really like this watch. I'm big pimping. But when it comes time for me to say, hey, can I take this watch home with me? Can I have it? They were like, no. It's like the watch costs $35,000, and you don't like somebody that has $35,000. Now, I will say that is kind of tacky to assume somebody just doesn't have the money just because they walk into your building. But in his case, he would be right. it's not like I can just take the watch home and keep it for myself. If I did that, then he would call security, and then I'd be sent down to the mall jail, and then eventually sent to real jail, which would scare the hell out of me. Because I just wouldn't make it in jail. I mean, I go in sounding like Barry White and come out sounding like Ariana Grande. That's what they do to me in there. What we have now is universal health care, which says pretty much you have a right to health care. You have a right to health insurance. You should be able to afford health insurance because you need health insurance. So to speak, if President Trump were to sign the Affordable Rolex Watch Act and get that passed through Congress and the Senate, then everybody in the country would be able to afford a Rolex watch at whatever amount of money that they can afford to pay for it. So instead of paying $35,000 for a Rolex watch, I could go in and say, hey, I like to have a Rolex watch and I'd like to pay $250 for it. And the man at the jewelry store would say, of course, here you go, Jason. Give me your $250 and you can have this Rolex watch. You can take it home and you can be big pimpin'. But it doesn't work that way. And it doesn't need to work that way because not everybody needs a Rolex watch. Some people don't even need a wristwatch. I mean, you can tell time with just about any other device, to where just having a wristwatch these days is just having a piece of decoration on your arm, pretty much. That being said, I still would like a Rolex watch someday. It's one of the goals. But you see, that is the difference between a watch and healthcare. People have a right to healthcare. They have the right to have health insurance that they can afford and have everything that they need at an affordable rate. And I made that point to say that a lot of Republicans, what they're trying to do is they are trying to take health care and give you access to it, but you won't be able to afford it. And I would imagine that the people who are saying that Trumpcare is basically Obamacare light, I'm thinking what they want to do is get like bars and laser beams and shit like that to surround all around the healthcare to make sure that people get zapped every time they go near it. Just like in the cartoons where you would see somebody running towards a security beam or something of that nature, and they just turn into dark, crispy ashes when they crossed over the beam. So I'm guessing they want low-income families and the elderly, people on Medicaid and disability. It's like whenever they try to get some health care, they're just going to turn into dark, crispy ashes, I guess. Which is bullshit, needless to say. Okay, so while Donald Trump is in Washington fucking up healthcare and just about everything else, Villanova and Duke have fucked up a lot of people's brackets. That's right, folks. We are currently right smack dab in the middle of March Madness, and so far it has definitely lived up to the madness. As I just stated, that the top two teams in the East seed have gone down in the first round of the March Madness. So neither reigning champions Villanova nor Duke will be eligible for the Final Four. And as I said before, that's caused a lot of chaos in people's brackets. This is exactly why I don't do brackets. Because, for one, I went to Alabama. Alabama's a football school, not a basketball school. In fact, more people actually turn up for our gymnastics meets than they do our basketball games. Ain't that something? Those of you who do follow basketball, or at least the March Madness NCAA brackets, because I imagine a lot of people who do those brackets don't even follow college basketball until the brackets come out. And I imagine a lot of them just have no idea what the hell it is they're doing because they haven't watched any games other than maybe a Villanova game or a Kentucky game or whatever games can be shown at the bar the night of their bachelor party or whatever. You never know. Maybe they are basketball enthusiasts. Maybe they just love what they do. Maybe they got a guy that has a system that does the brackets for them, and he has this fail-safe system that he has. Maybe he goes by the jerseys they're wearing. Maybe they go by the mascots. Maybe they go by what region they're in. It's like your system can only hold up for so long before your system comes back to bite you in the ass, and then the bookies come after you for their money, because I know some of those people who do brackets have also placed some bets thinking that they're going to get some easy money off of a Villanova victory, which was guaranteed because they were the top seed in their division. But we saw how that worked out. So I think we should have a moment of silence for all of the people who bet on Villanova ridiculous amounts of money that they couldn't pay and have now been beaten to death by bookies. But all I know is that if I had done a bracket, I definitely would have had Duke and Villanova in the Elite Eight. And I probably would have had Villanova, for all intents and purposes, in the Final Four. Which means my bracket would have been screwed up. Hopefully, those of you who did do brackets, hopefully your bracket is still in good play. Maybe you knew that Villanova was overrated or overconfident or overcompensating, whatever, and didn't go with them in your Final Four. And if you did, congratulations. We'll just have to wait and see how everything plays out for real. Because, the bracket, it's just some fun thing for you to do. Some people can do it. I'm not knocking people that do brackets. It's just not my thing personally. But anyway, we are going to wrap up this edition of Jason's Talking Time. And I appreciate you for tuning in to this edition. And continue to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram. And check out our Facebook page as well. Check out our website. And definitely be on the lookout for more great things to come from Jason's Talking Time. And for the time being, this is Jason Kidd signing off. You have a good night.